Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode where I am delighted to have Amy Oldfield with me. I'm going to let Amy introduce herself in a second because I won't do her justice because I think Amy's incredible, and she has a lot of experience, a lot of value to give us today. But we are going to try and kind of narrow it down to something that you call the four M's, which I'm going to let you explain all about in a second. But basically, the reason why I invited Amy on is because Amy is an expert in what she does. Um, and she has knowledge and awareness and a background in stuff that I don't. But I love her energy. I love how she does things. And so she's been very gracious to come and say yes to talking with us today. So, Amy, you want to tell us who you are?
Hello, thank you for having me. So, a bit about me then. So, I'm Amy Oldfield. My business is Body Theory by Amy, and I'm an online health and fitness coach. So, today's conversation, we're going to be diving into food, fitness, wellness, hormones, all of that stuff. So, if that sounds interesting to you, then stay tuned for today's conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So I don't script. I don't really do an awful lot of planning. I do like to just see where the conversation flows. So I think today is probably just me going to be listening to you and going, "Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh my God, that's amazing," and maybe asking questions. So are you okay to just start with what you think is kind of maybe the most common thing you coach on, or the most common thing you see in working women? Start with the four M's if you want to. I'm going to sit in your expertise, so I'm going to be directed by you as to what you think is most impactful for us to hear.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
no
cool. Well,
pressure.
let's just roll.
Yeah,
And as I'm talking about things,
yeah,
if you want me to elaborate, something doesn't make sense, something is
yeah,
interesting, then we'll go more down that route.
yes, perfect.
So, the majority of my work, and it has been for most of the 12 years of my coaching career, is working with women in their 40s who want to look good. They want to feel good. They are pretty into their exercise. They like to feed and nourish their body, but something's off and they just don't get the results they want from the efforts that they're putting in. So, my work is about helping women to restore their metabolic health again so that it now becomes easier to burn fat. It becomes easier to get out of bed in the morning and have energy, and for that energy to last all day, and so that you can sleep through the night. And so that hormones aren't running the show when you're not wanting to rip your husband's head off or scream at your kids. You just feel valiant, balanced, life is easier, and you're able to just get up in the morning, feel good, put on the clothes you want to wear, and feel great in your skin. So everything that I do helps women to achieve that. And there's a few things that I'm really passionate about to help women get there. And we'll dive into that. And you alluded to the four M's earlier,
Yeah,
which we will explore because that's exactly how I achieve this
yeah,
for women. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is strength training. So I'm sure we're going to dive into that. Women eating real food and
yeah,
not starving themselves and punishing themselves with crazy restrictive diets.
yeah,
Looking after your daily thoughts, which is absolutely your world as well,
yeah,
Nikki.
yeah,
And then understanding the phase of life that you are in and the things that you may have got away with, let's say, in your 20s and 30s. Now your body is not enjoying that anymore.
yeah,
So we need to approach things differently. So those four M's that I just mentioned are macros. Understanding your macronutrients, if that word is new to you, that means proteins, carbs, and fats.
yeah,
My second M is supporting your metabolism. Metabolism isn't just about, oh, I have a fast metabolism or I have a slow metabolism, and you're either lucky in that way or you're not. And it's not just about your weight when we talk about metabolism, there's lots of elements there. The third part is your mindset. So the way that you see yourself, the way that you speak to yourself, the way that your daily actions impact your results. And then the fourth M, two combined, the fourth M, menopause and menstrual cycles. So understanding where you are at in your phase of life and what you're going to need to focus on differently to get your body
Yeah.
responding in the way that you want it to.
Yeah.
And largely, this is what my online program, the Female Formula, is based on. And we all know that cookie cutter approaches to diet and exercise and weight loss, they don't work. So
Yeah.
having these four levers that you can pull on means that you can customize your approach to what you need and what you're struggling with and where you need to focus most of your attention. So it's a way of
Yeah.
personalizing your efforts.
Mm. And I think that's really key, isn't it? Because so many of us get caught up in that I have to eat this way, I have to eat this way, or I have to eat that way. And then so you've got experts saying, go gluten free, go meat free, go vegan, go like keto, go whatever the one is where I think it's keto, isn't it? Where you just eat all the meat. And it doesn't, and I think we try and then fit into this, oh, well, my mate lost weight eating that way, so I must lose weight too. Or my husband lost loads of weight fasting, so fasting must work for me. And it really is about looking at the individual body with those four M's. Just remind me what the second one was. Sorry, macros, mindset, menopause. What was the one? What was the second one?
So we've got macros, mindset, menopause and menstrual cycles, and then we've got which one have I missed? I've got a mind blank now as well. We're a right pair, aren't we?
I know. We're in the, yeah.
Metabolism.
Metabolism. Yes, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. And I think when you look at like it wasn't until I started to listening to you and coming to some of your workshops and talking to you more about macros that I've heard of protein, I've heard of carbs, but I never really understood it fully. And then definitely my metabolism. I wouldn't have a clue what my metabolism was like. But you do hear people go, oh, yeah, but I've got a slow metabolism, almost as if that's then an excuse to not even try anything different. No, there's no judgment when I say that. Mindset, obviously, I'm an expert at. But it's funny how my mind is just the same bitchy human as everybody else's when I'm not in my life coaching
Yeah.
hat.
Hmm.
And then menopause and our menstrual cycle. I mean, the menopause is definitely a phase of my life that I'm currently in. Um, so I'm curious, when you have someone in front of you and they're presenting all these symptoms, is there somewhere that you generally tend to start? You mentioned strength training, real food, like daily thoughts. But what is there one that you start with more than the other?
Yeah, so for me, there's going to be some general daily habits that are going to work across the board and help everybody.
Yeah.
So, women getting a decent sleep, for example, getting out into sunlight and walking, getting that daily movement in,
Yeah.
using weight training effectively, and eating enough food. So, those things are across the board. But where I like to start is more on the metabolic health, because
Mhm.
if your goal is to burn fat and build muscle, it's possible that maybe your metabolism isn't ready for that yet. And there's some work that needs to be done initially to get your metabolism working, because when it's working effectively, the efforts that you then put into your workouts and your food, it starts to work better for you rather
Mm.
than continuing to hop between the various diets that you just mentioned, your
Yeah.
keto, your carnivore, your paleo, your fasting, and
Yeah.
wondering why none of those work. And it's because your metabolism isn't set up to allow those things to work.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
you might be thinking, well, Amy, how do I know if my metabolism isn't working very
Yeah.
well? Like we said before, people tend to think that you either have a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism. That's something you're born with. Skinny people have fast metabolisms, overweight people have slow metabolisms. End of story.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's really not that way.
Oh, okay.
Your metabolism, it changes every single day because it is adaptive in nature depending on what stresses you place upon it. So rather than thinking of your metabolism like something which is fixed, it's either fast or slow, your metabolism is a stress barometer and it's constantly adapting and adjusting to whatever is going on in your lifestyle. And that has a cascade effect on every single chemical process that goes on in your body. And
Mm.
so when we think of it like that, it actually has only to a small degree an impact on weight loss. It's
Yeah.
all the things. So, if your metabolism isn't functioning very well, your body will be trying to tell you by maybe driving down your energy. So,
Mm.
if you're the person getting up in the morning, feeling really sluggish and having energy crashes at 3 p.m., that's a sign your metabolism is struggling. If you're constantly having sugar cravings, again, that's a metabolic issue.
Mm.
If your mood is high and low, again, metabolic issue. It can even express itself in your skin. Like, what's the quality of your skin like?
Uh,
Are you able to recover from your workouts effectively, or do you feel immediately energized afterwards, followed by a huge crash?
mm.
Also, hunger. I think we can sometimes be scared about feeling hunger. Hunger is a sensation which we often like to avoid and just
Yeah.
get shut down. And so women can think that they've kind of done it. They've achieved the holy grail when they don't feel hungry anymore. But not having an appetite, that's a sign of a struggling metabolism.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
if you can wake up in the morning and you have no appetite, you can go for hours without food, and then you're just eating because you feel like you should, or you're forcing food down, or maybe you can only have 1 or 2 meals a day and you just don't have those hunger signals. That's not a sign of a healthy metabolism. Yeah, it will mean that your body can get through the day on very little energy, but that's not a healthy metabolism. If you feel hunger, although it might concern you because you're, oh, I've got to eat again.
Yeah.
Hunger is a signal of a healthy functioning metabolism. We should be
Yeah.
feeling that and have a good appetite.
Yeah.
So a lot of the women that I work with, their initial goal is to drop a couple of dress sizes, let's say. We get to that perimenopause phase of life and the jeans are getting a bit tight and the fat's hanging out the back of our bra and we don't want to put our bikini on our summer holiday. Like your body is wildly changing. And so your immediate desire is, how do I get this fat off as quickly
Yeah.
as possible and as easily as possible? But if you're also struggling with a lot of the things that I've just mentioned, low energy, no appetite, energy crashes, highs and lows, mood swings, skin issues, gut issues, that needs addressing first
Yeah.
so that your body is set up
Yeah.
to burn fat and build muscle and get back into all those clothes that you love
Yeah.
that are sat in your wardrobe.
So how do you actually start that process? Does that look like it's someone doing like a food diary and you going, right, okay, this is roughly what you're taking in or not taking in? Like how do you start to know that for an individual?
Yeah, so I use what I call biofeedback markers. So the biofeedback markers are pretty much what I just described. How's your
Yeah.
sleep? How's your hunger? Your cravings, your energy, your workout performance and recovery, and your mood. And there's a cool acronym. I can't take credit for it. This is from one of my mentors, Jade Teeter. SHMEC. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's sleep, hunger, mood, energy, cravings. Is
Yeah.
your schmeck in check? And I will ask my clients to think about this day to day, but they report into me once a week with their kind of 1 to 10 scores on their
Yeah.
biofeedback. And that is your body's report card on how you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, am I happy right now with the lifestyle that you're giving me, or am I not? So we can use those biofeedback markers, and they are really effective. Then there's a
Mm.
couple of other markers that kind of don't fit into the lovely SHMEC acronym,
Yeah.
such as like your workout performance and recovery, your digestion. Like, are you pooing every day? Are you pooing twice a day? Are you getting bloating?
Mm.
And then libido as well. So a lot of women assume that as you get older, your libido is going to vanish and that's just what
Yeah.
you deal with. But high libido is another sign of a healthy metabolism. So there's
Yeah.
all these things going on that our body is always trying to tell us, but it's very easy to ignore, put it
Yeah.
down to age, put it down to being busy or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we use to understand if your metabolism needs a bit of support. And then, as and when you are ready and your body is optimized to go for that fat loss goal, then you can start to get more into becoming dialed in on macros. So that was
Yeah.
one of my other M's. That's your
Yeah.
proteins, carbs, fats. And when we add those up, that will equal your total calorie needs for the day.
Yeah. And you said the F word, fats.
Hmm.
So my parents, when they went through that whole period where fat was bad, so choosing the low fat option, which is usually actually full of sugars and toxins and doesn't actually lose weight, because now we're in a obese society, and so that clearly hasn't worked. But so it's interesting, isn't it, how some of us, and I can only talk about my experience, but how fats are bad. You don't want fat because we're trying to lose fat, so why would we eat it? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so those three macros that we're talking about, proteins,
Yeah.
carbs, and fats, each one of those has been demonized at some
Yeah.
point in the nutrition world over the last 30, 40, 50 years. And
Yeah.
so by the time you get to your 40s and 50s, you've lived through all of those fads. And then we've also
Mm.
watched our parents go through the fads as well and push their opinion on us. And we need to eat something.
Yeah.
So,
Like we can have sawdust, just dust.
yes. So protein can get a bad rep because some people think that it's bad for your kidneys. Or you might think, oh, protein is just for guys that want to build loads of muscle. And
Yeah.
maybe if I eat too much protein, I'm suddenly going to bulk up. Okay, so we've demonized protein. For the reasons you just said, we've demonized fats. But I
Mm.
think right now we're in the phase where carbs are
Yeah.
demonized, especially for women over 40. We are sold so often the story that if we want to be healthy and if we want to burn fats, then carbs are not our friend.
Yeah.
So there is no surprise that everyone's really confused because those are the only three options we have to get
Yeah.
fuel into our body. And then we're feeling guilty for eating any of them because we're
Yeah.
told that for one reason or another, they're all bad.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And these fads, they do full circle as well. They come and go and they do full circle. And then you see things coming around again. So
Yeah.
now people are talking about the carnivore diet,
Yeah.
which is very much heavy on just eating meat. Well, 20 years ago, that was packaged up as the Atkins diet. But now we call it the
Yes.
carnivore diet. So it's like, oh, hi,
Yeah.
it's you again. That one's come back around.
Yeah. Slightly different bow on than we all think. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Superman with the mask. You don't see the same. You don't see the
And
exact.
low fat was a trend at one point, and then that
Yeah.
changed to high fat. And now I feel that now we're more in a place of no one knows what to do. No one knows what to do
Yeah.
with fats and carbs and proteins. And so we're then reaching for, well, what else is there instead? Great,
Yeah.
there's intermittent fasting. That works for me because now I can get up in the morning. I don't have to waste any time eating. I can just get straight into my day
Yeah.
and I'll eat food later.
Yeah.
Because in a way, it I guess it feels easier to not eat
Yeah.
sometimes than to eat.
Well, especially if you've worked on if you're first of all if you're not hungry, like so if you're the scale that you don't get hungry, or like I have practiced fasting and I actually quite enjoy fasting, but I'm okay with being hungry. So if you're okay with being hungry, you don't feel hungry, fasting is actually really easy, but again, doesn't necessarily work effectively or healthily or because here's the problem I find is that there is research to prove everything. You know, there's loads of
Correct.
research to
Yeah.
prove fasting. There's loads of research
Yeah.
to prove eat 5 meals a day. There's loads of research, and so you can go out and find the research out
Yeah.
there to
Yeah.
support
That works
whatever
for
it
your
is.
bias. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So that's why I think that's why I think your 4Ms so much in the sense that it really starts to make it so much more individual for that body that you are living in, regardless of what the research says about those people, the research says about those people.
Yeah. And I do pay attention to research, but I also pay attention to my lived experience as a
Yeah,
woman in my own body and as someone who has worked with hundreds of women over the
yeah,
years. And you get to see what works, what doesn't,
yeah,
how people's body respond, how their mind responds.
mm,
And for me, that's actually more valuable than some of the research that you see. Because you can also pick apart holes in studies and say, oh, well, there was this, and this going on. And actually,
yeah,
the sample size wasn't big enough and all of that.
yeah,
So I think you do have to take a view of what objectively is working for you and also pay attention to the studies as well.
yeah,
In terms of intermittent fasting, this is a really, really big one that I see being popular at the moment.
yeah,
And I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of it.
yeah. I've heard you
I
say this
am a
before.
fan of find what works for you.
Yeah,
But if we just bring it back to what
yeah,
your body needs fuel.
mm,
And if you want to support your metabolism, your number one job is to reduce stress on your system.
yeah,
And as a woman over 40, you've now got 40 years of stress, which has accumulated. And quite likely, you're now dealing with extra things that you weren't dealing with 10 years ago. Like whatever age your kids are now, whatever age your parents are now, where you are in your
yeah,
career. Maybe you've started a new business. There's a lot going on that your 20 and 30-year-old body didn't have a clue was going to be happening.
mm,
So number one job for supporting your metabolism is taking stress off your system. And
yeah,
eating food in the morning signals safety to your
yeah,
body.
yeah,
So, the reason that intermittent fasting works for fat loss is because you've created a calorie deficit,
yeah,
because you've taken away a meal.
mm,
So I think that it can be helpful for some people. And if you feel great, like all your metabolic markers, perfect, you have the body you want, like everything is just great,
yeah,
keep on doing it.
yeah,
But if
yeah,
it's not working,
yeah,
do something different and start feeding your body first thing in the morning and at regular intervals throughout the day to
yeah,
signal safety to your system.
mm,
Because when your metabolism sense safety, remember I said metabolism was a stress barometer, then
mm,
it starts working again.
yeah,
Then you have
yeah,
balanced energy, you have balanced hunger, you can sleep through the night,
yeah,
you can burn fats, you can head into a workout, push yourself hard and recover really well.
yeah.
Now your body can handle it.
Yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it? And then let's talk about the menopause that or menstrual cycle, depending on what phase of the life your life you're in. But because another thing that I notice is how I think a lot of research out there as well is based on the masculine form because it's been gen and this is not a judgment, it's just pure opinion and observation. But where the medical profession has always been generally men, they only know the male body and they've looked at men. And a lot of the sports has been a lot of men. So all of this research generally has been around men. And we're coming into it, especially with the more awareness that we're having around menopause. But fundamentally, our bodies are completely different to a male body. And so, and especially because of our menopause, like that phase of change, I think it's even more important to get sort of familiar and comfortable and bring that kindness into that kind of change. But let's talk a little bit about hormones as well, whether it's menopause or menstrual cycle, because yeah, tell what do you think about all of that?
Well, let's just rewind to what you said about we can find loads of studies for intermittent fasting,
Yeah.
because that's a perfect example of how women are not included in studies
Yes.
because we naturally have more complicated biology.
Yeah.
So, all of these studies that we have,
Mm.
intermittent fasting or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
are based on how men respond to these protocols. And
Yeah.
then women end up applying them to themselves and
Yeah.
then wondering why they don't get the same result.
Yeah.
That's why your husband lost 2 stone on intermittent fasting and you didn't.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
So we are very different in that way and we don't get included in the studies.
Mm.
So when we talk about menopause, we have different phases of menopause. You've got pre-menopause, where you're still having regular menstrual cycles. Then we have perimenopause, which is most of the women that I'm working with. And perimenopause isn't just defined by what's going on with your periods. There's about 40 different symptoms which can come up that tell you you're in your perimenopause phase of
Yeah.
life. And it can go on for anywhere between 2 and 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because of the modern lifestyle we have now, and more environmental toxins and more stressors, perimenopause is starting earlier for
Mm.
women.
Oh, okay.
So perhaps our parents' generation, our mums and grandparents, they were starting to go through perimenopause perhaps in the mid 40s.
Mm.
Now we're seeing women go through it in their mid 30s. So it's all shifted forwards.
Yeah.
That can go on
Interesting.
for 2 to 10 years. And then menopause is officially just one day where you haven't had a menstrual cycle for 12 months. And then the next day, you're in postmenopause.
Yeah.
So, given that the majority of the women that I help on their health journey are in this perimenopause phase of life, this is why I'm obsessed with helping women take stress off their system.
Yeah.
Because actually, when we talk about menopause, that's when things have settled down. We tend
Yeah.
to think of menopause as when the periods have stopped. At that point, women tend to have an easier time in many ways. And it's the perimenopause phase that's more concerning. It can be more erratic with highs and lows of hormones. That's where a lot of the symptoms become really challenging. And
Mm.
that's where stress really needs to be addressed for women during
Yeah.
that perimenopause phase.
Yeah. Which is why, going back to what you said right at the beginning about some really simple going for a walk out in nature instantly lowers our stress. And I've never done it, but I've had a few friends that have had the blood sugar monitors,
Yeah.
what thingies, and they were like, "Oh, does it really work?" And they've noticed their stress has gone whoosh, and they're like, "Okay, I'll go out for a walk," and it actually does bring down all those stress levels, and it's free and it's easy. And it's right with us and sleep. I mean, it's things that we all kind of know, don't we? But is it seems so difficult to implement, which is then where the mindset comes in, isn't it?
Yeah. The knowing and the doing are
Yeah.
two very
Two,
different things.
yes,
Yeah.
very different. Yeah.
And people might say, oh, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a case of just needing to do it, is it? That's the
Yeah.
hardest bit. And if you
Yeah.
knew what you needed to do, you'd be doing it already.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, which is then when the mindset comes in. So I'm curious about because what I've noticed or what I've been sort of thinking through in my head the last couple of months is the difference between coaching, mentoring, um, like counseling and therapies. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because as a life coach, I question, challenge, support people in changing their belief systems, but I don't tell them what to do.
Mm.
I see that as being a mentor. A mentor's like, I've done it. This is what
Mhm.
I think you should do and giving you advice. But what you do is like a combination of the two, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
you look at someone and go, no, you actually need to have more protein, more carbs, eat more often, have the healthy fats, the real food, and here's how you start doing strength training and increasing, and let me help you with your daily thoughts. So it's that then I think so. I would be interested to hear your definition of what you think a coach is. Because then, like, if you go and hire a running coach, you expect that coach to tell you what to do. So that I'm like, but I'm a life coach and I never tell anybody what to do. So what's your sort of definition or terminology of the difference?
Yeah, that's such an interesting conversation. So it's a blend. When
Yeah.
you're a health and fitness coach, it has to be a blend.
Yeah.
And you're a mixture of a mentor delivering the knowledge to your client that they don't have, and they're coming to you for answers,
Yeah.
but also keeping your client in the driving seat of their
Yeah.
own journey.
Yeah.
Because although a woman might feel like I'm just done, I'm confused, I don't know where to go next. Just tell me what to do. Like give me the plan.
Yeah.
I could give you the most perfect plan and I can guarantee you will not follow it.
Yeah.
because because I
Yeah.
used to do that as a young innocent trainer
Yeah.
and wonder why no one could stick with my plans.
Yeah.
And it's because
Yeah.
that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to create a beautiful blend of
Yeah.
these are the daily habits that are going to really support your body and help you.
Yeah.
But we need you to be in the driving seat of this. So
Yeah.
I'm going to let you make your own decisions. I'm going to ask you some questions that are going to get you thinking about your behaviors and how you want this all to work so that you can
Yeah.
feel like you're in control and empowered about your own journey.
Yeah. And I also really believe that when we take away society's bullshits of shoulding and the correct diet and all of that bollocks, we really, which does that bollocks does help some people. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I really believe, and I don't think this is a conversation we've got time to step into now, but we have got an intuitive inner wisdom. Like when we push that loud satiety shoulding and our primitive brain aside that wants to eat all the chocolate and drink all the wine and eat all the processed foods and sit on the sofa watching 50 Shades of Grey. Not that I would ever do that, you understand. But it's that inner knowledge, that inner wisdom is inside us. I'd be really curious to hear what you think about this. That kind of higher spirituality that we very rarely tap into does have a very deep knowing on what is right for our individual body, but we just don't listen to it. We can't even hear it because of all the other conditioned rubbish that's around us. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah, I do. And I've got a few client examples that have come up recently that can demonstrate this quite nicely. So I don't believe in intuitive eating
Yeah.
as a great methodology for ultimate health and transforming your body because intuitively I want to get up in the morning and I want to eat carrot cake all day.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not going to lead to me
No.
having good health.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
not going to have a great physique. I'm not going to feel good doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to get up every morning and just eat carrot cake. Okay, so that's like what my intuition is saying. But then you need to strike the balance with what does my body actually need?
Yeah.
So sometimes we can't use the intuition. And
So can
especially
I
when your
just,
metabolic health isn't working,
yeah,
because the signals your body is sending you aren't what your body needs.
yeah,
So if your metabolism isn't functioning well, you'll get up in the morning with shut down hunger signals,
yeah,
and that's making the issues worse.
yeah,
And then you might be thinking, like a client of mine this week, she said, I just want to get up in the morning and just have like plain toast. Well, I know that that's not going to help her
yeah,
to restore her metabolic health.
yeah.
But intuitively, she's like, I'm listening to my body. That's what my body wants.
Well, and I think this is where I think my description of intuition is slightly different in the sense, not slightly different, but in the sense that what I think you're saying is intuition is what I would class is our primitive brain that's used to familiar, that's used to the comfort of toast, that loves the dopamine hit we get from sugar, therefore wants to eat all the carrot cake. So when we think that's what our body's asking for, to me, that's actually our primitive brain just wanting all the stuff. That to me isn't wisdom. To me, the quiet deep wisdom is underneath that layer when we actually sit there and go, but I know carrot cake isn't good for us. I don't
Yes.
think anybody's accessing underneath what we think is intuition. Intuition for me is very quiet, it's very subtle. It always gives us our best advice, but we need to go through that layer of I want to eat the carrot cake, I want to have the familiar toast, I want to stay with my sandwiches and whatever it is that we're used to, wine on a Friday night, whatever. We have to go through that, which is why coaching and talking it through to be able to access that deeper sense of, but I know that's actually not right for my body.
Yeah. And that was the next example I wanted to get to, exactly that,
Yeah.
where I don't make decisions for my clients. I ask them to
Yeah.
make their own based on what
Yes.
they truly want.
Yes.
So when I phase out a client's transformation journey, we have four different phases where we'll be focusing on fat loss in one phase, we'll be focusing on muscle building in another phase, maintenance, and then metabolic repair.
Yeah.
And this particular client, she decided that she was going to begin her fat loss phase. It was like, cool. So we've got everything set up, got the wheels in motion. Couple of weeks in, she just started to feel a bit wobbly about it. And I said to her, is this something that maybe you feel like you should be doing as
Mm.
opposed to something that you genuinely want? And she sat with that and she said, yeah, I feel like because I'm working with a coach, this is what I have to do next.
Yeah.
And I had to remind her that this was her journey. And so I said, what do you really want? And she said, I'm loving the buzz of getting strong at the moment and building more muscle. And that is feeling really good to me. I was like, great. Well, you're in the wrong phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so once she made a decision that aligned with what she actually wanted, as opposed to what she
Yes.
thought her coach wanted for her,
Yeah.
then she's able to get in the groove
Yes.
and her heart was in it again.
Yeah. So good. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
never feel like it's for me to tell
Yeah.
any of my clients what they want because
Mm.
only you know what you want and
Yeah.
you've got to
Yeah.
honor that.
Yeah. And I think we can only access that once we've addressed the shoulds
Yeah.
and the society's expectations and the fact that just because everyone else is eating cake means I have to as well, because otherwise I'll be left out, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, and it is key, isn't it? Coming back to like making those decisions, empowering yourself in a way that is unique to you and your desires and your body.
What's the point in working towards a goal that you don't really want? That
I
feels
know.
horrible.
Really shit. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not going to work. You
No,
might get there,
you
but you
won't
won't
follow
sustain
through.
it.
And
You
yeah,
won't sustain
yeah,
it. It'll be shit and you'll give up and you'll be back to square one, if not heavier, because then you'll judge yourself and beat yourself up and you're never going to look after a body when you're not appreciating it. So, yeah, so
yeah.
good. So good. Is there anything that you feel like we haven't quite addressed that is relevant?
What have we not addressed? I suppose relationship with food is quite a big one. And how women struggle to eat more. So, a
Mm.
big part of my message is that you need to eat more food in order to get the body that you want. And restricting and living on 1 or 2 meals a day isn't a badge of honor. So it's
Yeah,
like, how can we flip that script a little bit so that women feel good
yeah,
about eating food and about seeing food as a way to nourish their body, nourish their metabolism, fuel their exercise, allow them to sleep properly, rather than it being a way to just burn fat, like eat
yeah,
less and less and less. The longer your
yeah,
fasting window, the better you are. And
yeah,
it's not ladylike to be eating every 4 hours.
yeah. Or a load of chips.
Yeah.
It's and what one of the things that I love about you, Amy, is the fact that you sit there and go, I love food, and I love it when food's easy. Because I think that's the other thing. Sometimes we can get into the thing that, oh, if I'm going to eat real healthy food, that's going to take for hours to prepare, and I'm gonna and that's not your style at all, is it? It's like, no, I love food and I want it to be as easy as possible so that it's all the whole process of food is enjoyable.
Yeah, it really should be. People will often say to me, I might bump into them at a party, and if you're a health and fitness coach, everyone immediately thinks you're going to start judging what they're eating, which couldn't be further from the truth. And everyone wants to start to talk to you about food and, about what they've done, what they haven't done.
Yeah,
Anyway, people will often say, I would love to lose weight, but I just really enjoy food. And I'm like, great,
yeah,
great. That's not like,
yeah,
it's not either or.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
and
It's a
you
hand.
get you
Yeah,
get to have the body you want and enjoy food.
yeah,
It makes it easier if you do enjoy food.
yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I love that. You can lose weight and enjoy food.
Life should always be about and, shouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because we
Not
always
or.
do or, but it's like and. It can be one and the other. It doesn't have to be both.
Like in your world, maybe women are thinking I can either be a great mum or I can work on my business.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
and, isn't it?
I can't do both, but you can. We can be a great mum and work on our business. Yeah, it's not one or the other. I love that so much. Thank you. Thank you for that conversation. I really enjoyed it. We will put all of your links in the show notes. So if you're listening to this and you like Amy's energy, please look her up. She does have a gorgeous body, which she is happy to show on social media that inspires us to move forward.
Oh
So
gosh, you're embarrassing me now.
but you do. I think it's brilliant. And but where is the best place to? There's a really loud helicopter going or flight going over. Sorry, just distracted me. Where is the best place to find you?
I'm hanging out on Instagram as Amy Body Theory, and Facebook as Amy Oldfield. So come and connect with me there. And if you feel inspired to do so, I would welcome you to send me a message, tell me exactly what's going on with you. And if I've got a free resource or a little training video or something that I think would be helpful for you, then I'd be more than happy to send it your way.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much. The summer has gone. I mean, we're actually recording this before the summer, but when it goes live, it's going to be September. So we've be kind of been looking forward to like looking at Christmas now, which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy. I can't talk about Christmas when I'm just going into the summer. But thank you so much for coming and talking to me. And yeah, it was really, really lovely to have you.
It's been great, Nikki. Thanks for having me on here.
You are welcome. See everybody next week. Bye.